Hi, students. In this video, I'm going to show you about your tape collage project. Okay, now these tape techniques that we're talking about, I use the classic term tape techniques, but really we're invoking the history of a technique that uses pre-recorded material to use basically literally as instruments, but this becomes sampling. All right, very, very useful. Majority of the music that you probably listen to is made mostly of samples. So in this video and for this project, you're actually getting some pretty experimental music. Your collage project it's devoid of time and rhythm and pitch in the traditional sense, and we focus on the nature of sound itself. So let me show you how to get started with finding a sound from this website here, findsounds.com. And then how to get that sound and start manipulating it in Audacity, a fantastic audio editor that it's quick, it's light, and gets you to the music right away. Okay, so here we are in Find Sounds. Look at this menu. You get this fantastic menu. You're going to pick three different sounds from this site or two other sources that I'm going to show you in some subsequent videos. Find Sounds. Find Sounds is definitely going to be your top resource on all of this. But look at this menu here. Okay, what I want you to do, I want you to first just really explore the sounds of the human voice. So if we go sounds by people, laughter is always good. Okay, look at this. Here's our different laughs that we have available here. This site is great because all of these they're pretty high quality. They're ready for Foley or something like that. Look at this sonogram here. Okay, this laugh here is going to be longer than this one. Look at that, 5.7 seconds. This is 1.4. This is actually the volume. So look at that. We have all of these bursts of laughter here. This one's going to be longer, and there's only, well, I would count that as 3.5 maybe. When I'm looking for sounds, I open this in a new window. So for Apple, that's Command-click. Windows, it's something very similar. That's going to open me up in a new window. I'm going to open up a few of these here. That's just so that this search window doesn't change and you're going back and forth, back and forth. There we go. Okay. Okay, there's all kinds of laughs in there. My favorite laugh, though. Yeah, if you don't know where to start, I'm not an extensive sampler myself. I'm a little more of a synthesist. Oh, much more of a synthesist. But women's voices, it's a very rich sound source, incredibly rich. There's something about the woman, the female voice, and of course, this is more of a binary perspective of gender. I acknowledge and support the spectrum of genders, but in this case, we're going with something a little more traditional. Regretfully, but just for the sake of our conversation here, technically, okay, the woman's voice doesn't split into a head voice, which would be a falsetto, and a chest voice, the way a men's voice, male voice does. So there's a lot of extra material in there. We can talk about it, but that's mostly what I know about it. So we're going to open this up. This is Hillary Clinton's laugh. All right, and there's some favorite parts that I have in that sound. I've been working with it for a while. And there's a few ways you can download. You can control-click here. Download linked file as. You can click here. Oh, easy there. Download linked file as, or some of you may have trouble with this. You may have to go in and it's download video. That's because this right here is using a QuickTime player, but that'll get you the audio as well. All right, so just click around. You want to download linked file as, then you can name it something helpful. Put that on your desktop. All right, here I am. Then open up Audacity. All right, really great open source software. Here we go. You just grab that file and you drag it in. Okay. I already had this open, but a little menu will come up. Just hit OK. You want to do the safest option for how you render this audio. Okay, so if we okay, and there she is. Hitting spacebar is a fast way to play this file. Before we do anything, okay, find the where it is on your version of Audacity. Some of you, it's in here, but see how we have the audio is split into 2 tracks. Okay, that's stereo. Always mix down to mono for this class. We work in multiple mono. That'll be very helpful later on. Okay, so we go tracks, mix stereo, down to mono. Okay, there it is. It's much easier to work with. You can move this around, and then you can break it out into multiple channels. You can do some really great tricks and multi-tracking. So this is very beneficial. Here's our sonogram. Okay? Here's those bursts of laughter. Okay, we're going to go over 4 main techniques, and then a few other things. Editing is just simply you can highlight and isolate some of these sounds. Listen to this. Okay, if you put that in a piece of music, nobody's going to identify that as some sort of a glottal sound that somebody's throat is making. This is one of my favorite parts right here. Yeah, and for some of you, it might be a little haunting, a little strange just to hear so much sound just isolated like this. We'll get used to that. This is an audio experience. Okay, here's one burst. Yeah, I hope that this is already giving you ideas and inspiring you what you can do with sounds. Okay, so there's kind of the lay of the land here. That's just a simple kind of editing technique. If you find something you really like, let's see. This one's a little too clicky. It's great, but for what I want to show all of you, ooh, that one's way too clicky. Okay, I can work with that. Okay, too clicky there. So let's grab this one right here. And this is a good sound too. Okay, so we'll grab both of those. This is just like a word processor. It's kind of like a word processor for sound, actually. Yeah, there's material in there. See, look at this. You can just copy and paste. All right, from here on out, you saw the menu, but from here on out, I'm going to use shortcuts. So that's Command V and Command C. Okay, get myself a few of these. And I'm going to grab this as well. So I'm already finding my favorite parts of this sound. I'm isolating them and playing around with them. Uh-oh. Let's solo this. Oh, interesting. Okay. Very cool. Now, our first tape technique is to reverse some sound. Let's see what it sounds like here. Here's my original. Okay. Let's paste it on into here. Now, right now I have the selection tool. Look up here in the tool palette, bottom middle, wherever your palettes are, bottom middle is a time shift tool. Yeah, unfortunately, these are customizable. I don't care for that. I don't consider that a great feature, but time shift tool, that means you can slide your sounds back and forth in time, left and right. I'm gonna go back to my selection tool. I'm gonna highlight and go to Effect, Reverse. Okay, that's not very dramatic because it just sounds like a breath going in rather than going out, but let's see what happens when we grab one of these. Solo, Effect, let's reverse that. Just to prove my point here. Whoa. Let's solo this. I'm just going to reverse this whole thing for a moment. Now, I'm kind of breaking my own rule here. I'll show you why in a moment. Oops, there I am again. Take two. Okay, now that's pretty dramatic. When the whole thing is played together in reverse, we can really tell that's an amplitude envelope or a volume envelope instead of the sound decaying like it does naturally. It makes this sucking sound, right? Okay, and it sounds strange to us. That's not natural. Okay, I'm going to undo that reverse because I always keep a fresh copy in my first in my top track, so I can pull out of there. Okay, so that was reverse. Your next technique is a speed change. Okay, Effect, change speed. Now a menu comes up. Now this should be right here. Uh-oh. Yeah, it should be right in the middle. Not sure what happens there, but so if we go to the right, now again, when you change the speed, the pitch goes up as well. They're linked in your traditional tape technique. You know, if you take a piece of tape and you speed it way up, then you get chipmunk effect like this. Notice I'm using preview. Oh. Okay, but conventional electronic music wisdom says that every sound becomes pretty much the same thing when you speed it up, right? It's short and high, but we can really hear the character of that sound when we slow it down. That's one of my favorite spots to go to on this particular sound. Its character just starts getting warped just a little bit, and you can hear its nature, but there's lower. Now she's kind of like a sea lion, right? So I want that change to be permanent, so I'm gonna hit OK. And look at that, it really stretches out. Is something buried under there? Let me check. I forget how many of these bursts I made. Nope, we're clear. So we can make a series. And just to avoid stating the obvious, let's go out of sequence. Let's not make a direct ascending pattern, right? It's gonna be way more interesting that way. That works. Actually, let's go. Oops, I forgot to listen to it, but I think it's going to be fine. There we go. Yeah. Okay. And then let's pull this one a little bit closer. I'm gonna try and get this in between. Let's see. Let's see how it's gonna sound. Okay. Yeah, so I want it. I'm gonna see if I can get it in between those. There it is. All right, let's see what we got. Oh, and then don't forget the breath at the end. Okay, starting a little mini piece here, aren't we? Oh, look at that. That's a happy accident. Oops. No, little bark. Let's see if I have an original here. Okay, there's another original. Okay, next, our next two tape techniques, they take the two parameters when you change speed. Okay, you're both changing the speed and the pitch, right? Well, through the power of our digital tools, we can isolate those. Look at that. We can change the pitch. We can change the tempo. So we can take those two parameters and we can isolate them. So let's change the pitch first. All right, here's. Okay, so you can get kind of a Jabba the Hutt effect without changing the length. Very handy. Let me find that sweet spot with this particular sound. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that starts sounding. This may sound like a strange comparison, but anybody who's been around farm animals may start recognizing some of the strange characters of the human voice starts approaching that of farm animals, strangely enough. Anyway, moving along, and then here's change tempo. Uh-oh. Preview. I mean foreshadowing. Okay, notice how I'm using preview. All right, that'll give you a preview until you change that forever there in the workspace. Now, okay, there we go. When we change the tempo and it's really short, you just really can't hear anything. Okay, we're all ready. So this is an MP3, and I don't really recommend using MP3s. It's just such a good sound. It's already breaking down a little bit. Okay, that's that roughness. I'll show you about that in just a moment. Let me just look at something here. I always forget if there's dithering on this or not. That can help touch that up. So, okay. Okay, this is going to take up CPU. I don't think that dither is going to help out. Dithering means that it can fill in spaces and smooth sound out like that. We'll talk about what's going on there in a little bit. Okay, so let's bring our tempo change. Oh dear. I want one last long phrase here. I want to turn this into something really cool. Well, first of all, you can combine these effects. So let's put her in reverse. There we are. And now let's really stretch that out. Let's change that tempo. We're going from just under a second to, oh, this is going to be really weird. Let's go ahead and do it. Okay, here we go. I love that tempo technique. I really do. You can just stretch and mangle a sound to the point where it just gets to this really something very interesting. Let me play it again for you. Now it's getting grainy. It's getting really grainy. Let me show you why. If we zoom in, okay, let's see if that can. Right. Hopefully you can see. Let's go back out just a little bit. Okay, there it's fused into one sound, but ruh-roh. There we are. Okay, now we're approaching. You know what? I think it's time to show you guys a really good trick here. Okay, it's getting it's a little soft for us. Let's normalize it, okay? That means we're going to boost the audio. We go to effect. Here's your best friend right here. Amplify. Audio volume, loudness, or amplitude is measured in decibels. Yes, that's a shout out to Alexander Graham Bell. I love the amplify effect. Now, normalization, it's kind of relative. You know, classically or technically, it's like a negative 12 dB is what you normalize for CDs and things like that. This one, it says 0. Let's just go with that. I know it sounds good. You know, I'm not an audio engineer, so I'm not sure what the differences are between this normalization and what you normalize for. But the point is that it suggests, and this is suggested, so you know, I'm not going to touch anything. I'm just going to say, okay, Audacity, whatever you say. It says, you know what? If we do around 11 dB boost, nice hit OK, great. Look at this. Now those peaks that's right below clipping. Okay, so this is nice and full. We're gonna get a nice full signal here. All right, the volume is just right. Let me have my hand on the fader though, just in case. Okay, that's just right. Look at that. See that level meter? Ooh, we can hear all kinds of nuances in there. Fantastic. Okay, now if we zoom in, ooh, we've got plenty of material for me to show you. We see that as we get closer in, and try this with your own sample, okay? we can see that our sound, usually we don't hear the spaces because we have such a high resolution in digital audio. But when we start pulling the sound apart, we can see that there's actually little windows of sound, right? And when we pull them apart, it gets grainy. It gets rough. Okay. So we've just started what could be the first phrase of a tape piece. Well, that last part might be a little too long for your assignment because you don't want a phrase that's more than 8 seconds long, but that's a technicality. Okay, here we go. Okay, that last tail end part's a little too long for your assignments, but still, some fantastic sounds. So just to review, okay, in this video, we went over edits, okay, how to isolate sounds, all right, and using this selection tool, right, if we isolate a sound, okay, we get all kinds of interesting things that you wouldn't necessarily hear in nature. We went over this time shift tool. You can, there we go. Move things around in time and arrange them. That's bumping up against this. Silence, whatever. Okay, we can do that. Or we can highlight these sounds and invoke our effects. I just showed you amplify. That's how you boost the sound, especially if you find something really tiny, like right here, okay? And you're interested in that sound, but it's just way too quiet, right? Well, if we just go to effect and we amplify, look at that, okay? Boost it. And I love that. It has kind of like a little wooden sound to it. That'd be a great percussion sound or something. Okay, so we went over amplify. And then classic tape techniques, reverse. Then we learned how to change the speed. And then through the power of our digital tools, we can take, since speed changes both the speed and the pitch, we can isolate pitch and we can isolate tempo. Okay, in the next video, I'm gonna extend some more of these techniques for you and show you more about how to totally nail and get an A on your assignment. Okay, see you in the next video. Thanks.